No long intros, no annoying advertisements. I'm Shield Maiden, and these are the weapons that I am most excited to use in Act 2. So I'm doing this a little differently than how I usually record a video or anything. This is completely unscripted. I have just put on all the weapons that I am excited to use and talk about, and I'm just going to wander around the Pale Heart and kill stuff with the weapons and just kind of talk about them as I go. Alright, so first up, Critical Anomaly. I just crafted this bad boy, and I put on Reconstruction Bait and Switch. I think this sniper actually has a lot of great perks. It's got Chill Clip, Headstone, Triple Tap, Explosive Payload, Opening Shot, Snapshot Sights, Quick Draw, really great perks for PvE and PvP. I personally like the Reconstruction Bait and Switch role. It is a stasis sniper, so I do kind of want to craft one with Chill Clip, Explosive Payload. I think that would be a really interesting combination. So I usually run a GL that has auto-loading Explosive Light. It's going to be really neat to just dump the entire mag of the grenade launcher shots into a boss, do a quick little hit with whatever I'm rocking in my energy slot, unloading the sniper that'll have bait and switch on it by then. And yeah, it'll be a nice little damage rotation, so I'm pretty excited about that. It has really great perks for PvP, although it's an aggressive frame, so I'm not entirely sure that's something that people are going to immediately run to for a PvP sniper. But, you know, if they like the way it shoots and they want to use it, then, you know, more power to them. It's got some really great PvP roles, so. Crimil's Dagger. I generally don't go for PvP weapons. Granted, you know, I get that I'm using this in a PvE setting right now, but this is a solid hand cannon to rival Igneous Hammer if there was something else you wanted to run in your energy slot. It feels great. The target acquisition just feels so much better than some other hand cannons in the kinetic slot for some reason. Overall, this hand cannon is just really slick. It feels like it hits perfectly. Can also roll with some amazing perks. Moving target slideways for PvP in the third column, and then explosive payload opening shot in the fourth column are always great perks for a hand cannon, especially in PvP. If you were looking for a PvE role for this weapon for whatever reason, granted there are insanely better PvE hand cannons, but I'm an avid supporter of, you know, use what you want in a video game. So if you want to use this in PvE, I recommend something like Strategist Explosive Payload. Explosive Payload is always nice, especially for ads that are grouped up, and then having weapons that also benefit your abilities is never going to be a bad option, and Strategist helps with that. So yeah, Crimil's Dagger, like, just a really solid hand cannon that I'm excited to take into PvP and see what I can do with it for sure. Okay, and then next up, Perfect Paradox. Had to pull this out of collections because it's not currently out, or perhaps I haven't played enough since Act 2 dropped, which was yesterday, to get the Perfect Paradox. I know they said it was supposed to be releasing with the other 2 weapons. We were supposed to get 3 new weapons. I do not see that, so currently this is just what I could pull out of collections. It's got Rampage on it. So for PvE, for Perfect Paradox, I recommend something like Pugilist 1-2 Punch. It's gonna be really strong in like a melee-based build. Vorpal even would be great for if you're using it for boss damage, you know, bosses where you're kind of in their face. For PvP, Slide Shot Opening Shot is probably the role that I would be looking for. Even Slide Shot Vorpal would go pretty hard here. Threat Detector. Yeah, it's got a lot of great perks for PvP. Not so much for PvE, but that's okay. I'm a huge fan of how things shoot. And all the weapons that I have in this video are just weapons that just kind of scratch that itch for me in terms of making me feel some type of way when I'm shooting them. In a good way. There are some weapons that I shoot that I'm just like, I really don't want to use this anymore. There's a Strand Pulse, the Trials Strand Pulse that came out that was supposed to be, I don't know, there are some people who really like it, but I cannot wrap my head around how it shoots, and the bullets feel like they don't do anything. I'm a big fan of like this, I call it like sound aesthetic. I need stuff to sound a certain way, and then like, you know how you can almost feel how things hit an enemy? If it hits them too light, I almost feel like it's just unusable for me. Alright, next up is Sightline Survey. I was really looking forward to crafting this, and I actually just crafted it today. Biggest reason is because it can roll Volt Shot, and I like the way this shoots better than Posterity. Plus, I just like the look of it. Don't get me wrong, I love the look of the Deepstone Crypt weapons, but there's something about the kind of Vex aesthetic. It's just very satisfying. Alright, so we got a kill, reload, proc Volt Shot, bing bong. Yeah, it's a really solid PvE. It's a 180, so your shots are gonna go off quick, even if it doesn't have as much impact as, say, like a 140. When I am looking for PvE weapons, especially something like this that rolls with Volt Shot, I want something that shoots a little bit faster. Those seconds in between shots, few as they are, could really make the difference in, you know, like stunning a champion or getting a final blow on an enemy that's got you at, you know, absolute health. So it's really important to me that shots in PvE get off a little bit quicker. I actually really just like the way this sounds too. Listen. That's so awesome. If you're looking to get this in PvP, there are some good perks for it as well. I haven't tried it out in PvP at all. I was specifically looking at this for PvE shenanigans. It does roll with stuff like triple tap, opening shot, kill clip, Eye of the Storm, Enlightened Action, which I have heard mixed reviews on, so take that for what you will. I think it's a fine perk in any setting. I think it's just how you use it, you know. Okay, next up is Apparent Action, which I'm sure is like what you guys all wanted to know about. Now, I just got it to randomly drop with Threat Detector Incandescent. I do not have the red borders to craft it, so Threat Detector Incandescent is the best I can do right now. However, ooh, this is my first time shooting it. I kind of wanted to get that on camera, so that's really cool. Everyone seems to be going for a Heal Clip Incandescent roll. I don't actually want that roll. What I'm looking for when I craft it is Strategist Incandescent, because again, what I'm really looking for in PvE is anything that increases my ability regen, and Strategist just does that. With something like Incandescent, and it being on a sidearm, to me, like, that's gonna be the roll. There's also another role that I would like to craft specifically for a DPS scenario, which would be Beacon Rounds and Golden Tricorn. It's going to be probably in specific instances because of Golden Tricorn. So when we look at Golden Tricorn, while the perks buff isn't active, weapon kills grant Golden Tricorn ×1 for 7 seconds, increasing weapon damage by 15%. Additional kills refresh the buff's duration. So while your weapon's element matches that of your super and Golden Tricorn ×1 or 2 is active, your grenade or powered melee kills grant Golden Tricorn ×2 for 10 seconds, increasing weapon damage by 50%. So right now, while your weapon's element matches that of your super, that's actually a bug, and that's going to change. The element of the abilities proccing the second stack will need to match the weapon. So you'll need at least one solar ability to be able to proc Golden Tricorn, which is fine because I usually like running solar nades on Hunter or Titan. If you're on Prismatic Warlock, all you have is a healing grenade, so it's not very viable on a Prismatic Warlock. But if you're just on a regular Solar Warlock, it's going to be fine as long as you're not using a healing nade. But the damage increases. Even without the buff being active, 15% could make or break a damage phase. All you have to do is get a kill with the weapon right before damage phase, and then it immediately becomes a contender like in the DPS rotation. After you get that kill, if you get another kill with, let's say, a powered melee or a grenade, you're actually increasing the weapon damage by 50%. Honestly, that's crazy for an energy weapon to have that kind of damage. So very excited to test out beacon rounds and golden tricorn when I'm able to craft. I mean, I know they're just wizards and like little red bar acolytes, but I mean, the damage is insane, even then. Incandescent actually just goes so hard on this sidearm. Just actually having fun with it. This is a really fun sidearm to shoot, and I really like the way it sounds. Corrasion. Don't know why they didn't just call this Corrosion. I feel like that would have been, one, easier to pronounce, and two, along the lines of the whole Vex thing, where everything's kind of like machines, but also not really. This is also my first time shooting this. I only just got these last night. As soon as I got them, I got off the computer and went to sleep, so it's my first time shooting them. Let's see how it sounds. It's a pulse, but it feels like it's shooting one bullet at a time. Yeah, a 2-round burst. It hits pretty hard. That's kind of wild. It doesn't seem to have like a ton of recoil either. Barely any. That's incredible. Even hip firing, it's pretty stable. I just have really bad aim, so no, that's actually insane. I will be using this everywhere. What I'm looking for on this weapon is high impact reserves and bolt shot in a PvE setting. In a PvP setting, I'm looking for perpetual motion, Eye of the Storm. Simply for my playstyle, not necessarily that's like, you know, oh, that's the god roll. I don't actually technically believe in like god rolls. I think that like perks have their place, and in certain playstyle, like I have a tough time with 1-2 punch pugilist stuff, even though that's like a role that I know I'm gonna go after. I'm trying to get better about melee builds because that's not really my playstyle. I'm more of like a old school hunter where I like to sit up on a mountain and like snipe people, you know? But games can't always be played like that, and it's just a video game, right? So I should be expanding my horizons and like trying new things, and so I'm gonna try new things here. Specifically for PvP, yeah, perpetual motion Eye of the Storm is definitely the way to go for me. I also think it rolls with keep away and high ground, so those will be interesting on certain maps in PvP as well. Keep away is always nice, simply because when you have long-range weapons, for the most part, not going to be taking damage, which means that perk is very easy to proc. So next up is the Crucible, or is the comp auto rifle Reposte. Not really sure how you say it. It almost seems French to me. This was my first ever drop that I really liked. It was Zimmoment kill clip. I think it's useful in either setting. I like the way it shoots. The fact that it's Void is very nice. Void is one of my favorite subclasses, so again, this is just more geared to my playstyle. I like it nonetheless. It does roll with Repulsor Brace destabilizing rounds, which is the role that I'll be looking for PvE, simply because I like getting Void overshields and making the enemies volatile. Big swarms of enemies going boom. That's one of my favorite things to do in this game. All around a really solid auto rifle. If you're just wanting to try something different, I highly recommend just going into comp, doing your 3 games, then going into regular Crucible, Control, whatever, stacking some engrams, trying to grab a couple different rolls at shacks. It's like Gnawing Hunger, but it hits a little bit harder. And I really, really like that about this. Gnawing Hunger was like my go-to weapon when I first started playing this game. And it just feels like a better Gnawing Hunger. Just a little bit harder to get because it is PvP, and I know there are some people who prefer not to go into PvP. If you just do your 3 comp matches again, you can still focus for it at shacks. Alright, next up is Scintillation. I do have the Adept roll. This is a strand heavy linear fusion rifle. It's an adaptive burst frame, which means it's gonna fire a 3-round burst. I'm gonna mess up one of these acolytes, watch, if they don't move. Sheesh. I really like the way this sounds when it shoots. I do have the roll that I wanted on it, which is auto-loading bait and switch with rewind rounds. I always go for liquid coils, just because it increases the impact damage, and I'm on M&K on PC, so I'm always looking for like handling, whatever's going to give me more handling. Technically, this is stability. In PvE, you don't really need range on stuff like this. This is going to be really solid for strand builds when you need good DPS, because bait and switch is the best DPS perk in the game currently. It's really, really solid. You can't go wrong for doing DPS on a boss that has a crit spot, or if there's divinity on a boss. Linear fusions are still pretty solid, especially if it's an enemy that moves around. I know, like, I miss a lot of rockets, even though divinity is on the big guy, like Rolk, for example. I usually use either a linear fusion or a grenade launcher there, specifically because rockets, if he even moves a centimeter to the left or right, you know, the rocket's gonna miss, so regardless if there's divinity on it or not. But yeah, all in all, this is a really solid linear fusion. Whenever it's up again in the Grandmaster Nightfalls, highly recommend just hopping in with a fire team and going and farming for it. This isn't really something I'm gonna take into PvP. I guess if you really had to, maybe Hatchling Slice. I know that seems silly, but strand builds are quite popular in PvP. I think it would just probably mesh really well with making even more threadlings if you can get a kill, that kind of stuff. So again, not really something I would take into PvP, but for whatever reason you decide to do it because this is the weapon you want to use, go for something that's going to mesh well with your build. Let's say you get a kill and there's somebody else there and it doesn't quite kill that person too with the 3 burst. Hopefully if you make a threadling, it'll finish people off for you. Ill Omen. This is just a random drop for me. I have yet to be able to craft it. Super excited though for Relentless Strikes and Cold Steel. So this is a caster frame stasis sword. So you're actually able to launch a heavy projectile attack. They are stronger with full energy. Let's go see if we can find somebody. How can I unlock this witch so we can see what kind of stuff this does? I mean, that's insane. I mean, I made her go immune with 1 hit. And I mean, I know it's time gated, but you know, that's pretty solid. So it takes down her shield and takes 1/3 of her health as well. So Ill Omen's gonna absolutely be a part of any stasis builds, especially since there's Overload Sword in the artifact. We also have Lucent Blade. I feel like a lot of people forget about that, but Lucent Blade is on our chest piece, and you get a higher energy recharge rate when you have this equipped. You can actually equip it multiple times, so you get even higher charge rates. And remember, the heavy projectile attack does more damage when your charge is full. It's just so much fun to use. Like, how could you ever not have fun slowing people like that? And I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'd probably still use that in PvP, just for funsies, you know? In a game mode where they have, heavy more often than usual, that would be really, really fun, I think, to try and use. But yeah, that's definitely something I'm going for on that sword. I'm excited to be able to craft it and put it into, my stasis builds, take it into some GMs, see what I can do. The last and final weapon that I'm super excited to use, but I can't because I don't have it yet, is the Raid Exotic Euphony. I'm really excited to put it to the test in Warlock strand builds, specifically because of its ability to just mass create threadlings. Again, haven't been able to use it yet though, so maybe I'll do a whole nother video on it when it comes out with the Warlock build, and maybe even a Hunter and Titan build too, just to see how it blends in with all the classes. But definitely something to think about is if you do get the Raid Exotic to drop, testing it out with Strand on any of your classes. But yeah, these are the weapons that I'm very excited to use, very excited to keep grinding for red borders and for, god rolls, play the game and have fun doing it. Be on the lookout for some prismatic builds I've been having fun with. Also had a few that got sent to me that I need to try, and I'll probably be making a video on those as well, or just putting them all in one big video. So please be on the lookout for that. Yeah, be kind, get shit done. Later, gamers. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out the videos on screen for more Destiny 2 content. Bye!